So Nigel works alongside with the Chilean high-level climate COP champion, who's also joined us, Gonzalo Muñoz. And the role that they play as high-level champions is to strengthen the collaboration and to drive action from business, investors, organizations, cities, and regions on climate change. In terms of the UNFCCC, they refer to that as the non-state actors. So any entity that is not a national government, but they do that in a way to coordinate the work with the governments around the commitments, the nationally determined contributions associated with the UNFCCC. Before taking on this role, Nigel was most recently the CEO of We Mean Business, which was a coalition of businesses working to accelerate the transition to a zero carbon economy. And prior to that, he was the executive director of the Carbon Disclosure Project. And before that, he had nearly 20 years in the private sector working across the world in emerging markets and manufacturing. So let me tell you why I'm so excited about Gonzalo. So he's also from the business community. He's an entrepreneur, and he's been a social change maker in the forefront of actually environmental innovation at Chile. So he's he is a rock star in Latin America. And if you've been from that area, South America, you know Gonzalo. And he kind of reinvented the country's, I think, recycling industry and ushered in a vision of a future without waste for that country. He did that by founding, actually, by leading by action, creating a recycling company. I think it was back in 2009, 2010. And since has been presiding over the expansion of that company to other countries across Latin America. His company provides recycling station for 90% of household solid wastes. And through the popularity of his innovation, he's been leading that cultural movement to enhance the environmental sustainability and social inclusion. In recognition of kind of what he's been doing, he was awarded the Circular's 2019 International Prize at the World Economic Forum's annual meeting in Davos. And he was invited to also join the New Plastics Economy Advisory Panel at the Ellen MacArthur Foundation. And I'd like to try to harness your collective experience, which is significant, in providing guidance to us. And the parallels with which you're speaking are striking. So this is a coalition of a group of organizations and people who are trying to hack the engineering community. We've got the world's couple of largest engineering associations. We've got engineering companies, we've got NGOs, we've got owners and operators on this call. And we've all come together to try to figure out how to hack the engineering community with the different issues, opportunities, skill sets, and barriers that are applied here. And we're trying to figure out how we can do that in a way that very specifically helps move the needle forward with COP26, helps support your agenda, and helps support countries in ratcheting up their NDCs. What's your advice to us? You got 7 minutes to tell us what you want us to do.
So first thing I would say is choose your engineering mindset, right? Because there's two engineering mindsets. There's one, I know all the risks because I'm a technical expert and I can tell you every reason why you can't do that, right? That's an important engineering mindset. If you're responsible for a national grid and literally keeping the lights on or running a nuclear power station, you need to be able. So it's not to denigrate that, but that's one part of the engineering. That's one engineering mindset. The other engineering mindset is, wow, you think I can't do that? I'll show you I can, right? It's the kind of problem solving, the designing, the innovation. We need both engineering mindsets, but we mustn't allow the first mindset to be the one which we bring to the problem solving game, right? So we need to respect that risk management mindset, which is a valid one, but we need to bring the innovation mindset. I've said time and time, my father was a civil engineer, and I worked in manufacturing first part of my career. I think this is a time made for engineers. Engineers are going to solve this problem, right? With robust, creative, scalable solutions. So the first thing is to get excited about this as an opportunity for engineering to lead a transformation in every sector in the economy. And then just briefly, and I'll hand back to Gonzalo. We're working on transformative pathways for every sector, which define the pathway. And there's getting behind those pathways and then choosing your role and accelerating your bit of the pathway, whether it's built environment, utilities, infrastructure, big, all the transport sectors have to go through huge re-engineering. So that would be it. Be proud about engineers being the problem solvers that the world need right now more than ever. And Gonzalo, more practically.
What I would say, and you have optimized wrongly during so many years. There has been some blind parts of the equation that engineers have optimized during so many years. And I would say, just to try to simplify, is that the blind spot is nature. Like many of the optimizations of the engineers are not taking into consideration how narrow is our impact, or I mean the space where we have to really live in this very delicate ecosystem. And therefore, and this is something that I said to the seminar of deans of engineering faculties that gathered yesterday, all of them, they called me and I said, there has been so much arrogance also around the engineers. And my father is also an engineer, my brother's an engineer, and I mean, I'm surrounded by, and I think there's a need of incorporating aspects about the role of nature and our own weakness as a species, and therefore reconsider the equation with this extra element that we have had in a blind spot.
Super helpful, both. I mean, as we're a year on to thinking about this, yep, very helpful feedback.
Let me add two things. Like, whichever organization you're working for individually, make sure that they've committed to making this transition. Because we know the biggest drive. I was with the senior person at Infosys in India yesterday, and he was saying the whole business is founded on the idea that what did he call it? Unreasonable goals drive innovation.
Right.
So I mean, anybody in an engineering company that doesn't think they're good at innovating, right? That's a kind of weird engineering company, right? Even if they're not good at it, everyone likes to think they're good at it, right? So sell the need for that unreasonable goal. And by the way, it's not net zero 2050 that's the goal. It's a zero carbon economy as soon as possible. And in every sector now, we're starting to have people say, I'm going to do it by 2045 or 2040 or 2035. So I would say whatever your organization, get that organization to publicly and loudly commit to net zero as soon as possible, and then start encouraging, challenging, filtering clients, hires, the contracts that you go for, on the basis of whether or not they're going to be contributing to the solution or not. I mean, just put that at the heart of the transformation. This transformation is coming so fast. If you don't really get up the S curve now in a learning point, by the time it's mandated fast, check out the work that the UN Principles of Responsible Investment have done on what they call the inevitable policy response. It's coming, and if you haven't been practicing for a few years, you're just going to get blasted out of the way.
So and people can please continue to put questions in. We got a few more minutes. I'm relishing my role as a moderator because I'm going to ask you a question I can't stand getting asked, which is, if you had to prioritize something, what would you do? Because the answer is we need to do everything as fast as we can. But in this case, with this coalition, we've created these action tracks, and we're in the process right now of trying to sharpen what we as a burgeoning coalition and a movement focus on. So with what you're doing with the Race to Zero in your role in the next year preparation for COP26, if you had 2 or 3 things that you could say,
2 or 3 or just one?
I'd give you 3.
Okay. Can I start? Carbon price.
Carbon pricing.
Yes, and you don't have to wait until others put start yourself pricing carbon. Nigel.
I mean, I would say, and Seth, and this comes from your background with the C40, and I see Amanda here. I mean, focus on cities. Huge lever for change. It's where nearly all infrastructure is built, and a lot of cities have a lot of control over procurement and planning regs, and it's where innovation has always started, is in cities. So really make sure you're really focused on working with cities, and the cities are stepping up and being really ambitious, so that they'll be embracing innovative engineering.
Glad to hear. I mean, I think that is a focal point. That's why we've got GCOM on as one of the founding members. Yeah.
I'm a friend and partner with William McDonald. So I would say, as he would refer to, buildings like trees. that can create pure air, create their own energy, create more water than they use, create food, set the conditions for living, working, and playing in the same place. And with all of that into consideration, set the conditions for living in a 15-minute city. And
terrific. Well, I've got 1 minute left, so I'm scanning here. I'm looking for any additional questions that we might have. Unless there's something else you guys want to finish off with.
I mean, carrot and stick both have a role, but ultimately I think it's people need to feel inspired that they're building a future they can be proud of. And I think nobody and it's engineers who are going to design it and build it. So I would say focus on the stick, focus on the carrot. The stick will come, right? But that's policymakers. But if you want to be leaders, you really need to focus on the carrot of building an exciting future, growing a business, whatever your particular business is, by being a provider of solutions that are going to stand the test of time.
Terrific. Well, I like to end on
just
the carrot.
One final message. As I said, I hope that you all join Race to Zero. Not joining, not committing is such a nasty narrative. So I'm assuming that none of you would like to carry that nasty narrative. We're looking
nice.
for.
You see the way we did that? I try to give you a nice emotional carrot, and Gonzalo comes in with the stick. If you don't join, you're losing.
I woke up at 2 a.m., brother. What do you want me to do then?
Oh, good. It's great. I love it. If they don't join, they're nasty people. I agree.
Well, I can see the dynamism here of the two of you working together, and we look forward to more of it. And I think you have come to the right place. We are looking to do exactly what you said, and I think we're looking forward to figuring out how we can support you in the work you're doing, the Climate COP Champions team, but more broadly also be a direct vehicle for impact, change, and positivity as it pertains to marshaling the global resources and engineering community, which is what we've got here on this call. So we'll be in touch and looking forward to more. And thank you so much for taking some time out of your crazy day to join us.
That's great. Thank you for everything that you guys are all doing. I'm really excited about. Seth and I know each other quite a while, but I only recently found out about this work with the engineering community. And literally 5 times a week, I'm telling everybody that this is a time for engineers. This is what engineers were designed for, is to tackle huge problems like this. So thank you all for all your work. And Seth and Manda, everyone, look forward to working with you. Take care.
Great, guys.